Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Serge of the Brawler Cafe bringing you round 3 of the Upper Hand First Canadian Bakugan Tournament. On the right, we have me, Hunter Serge, using Haos Nillious, Haos Nillious, Magic Shield Center deck, and on the left, we can see the Haos Howlkor starter set being piloted by one LeMar DeVente. Yes. It may be a starter set, but that starter set is by far the best one. Pretty competently constructed, being perfectly honest. So it's unsurprising for it to get pretty far in these early tournaments, because it is very well constructed, has a lot of really good cards, like the good old Haos staples. I believe it has Decisive in there and stuff like that. And has the good old Aurelius Pegatrix, which LeMar DeVente is going to use as his first roll with our Haos Nillious player using Ventustrox. Only Ventustrox stands, but that's just going to be one small little damage, but that is going to get Haos Nillious into the domination. So that will make Light's Courage online this turn if it's required. However, our right side player is once again the only one to open with Aurelius Howlkor. There's now only one Magic Shield left on the field for his Haos Nillious, and he's going to have to use his Haos Nillious on turn 3 before he is able to use his evolution. But he is going to be able to get 9 damage in with that Aurelius Howlkor, which is going to be big, because without Darkus in his opponent's deck, there's nothing that could have stopped that. So he's already knocked 10 cards out of his opponent's deck. So he's in a very good position. He has Domination online, and with Ventus, he has access to stuff like Nature's Power. So with that stuff, he could potentially win, but completely whiffs the roll, completely misaims, and Haos Howlkor steals his last Magic Shield, meaning that Haos Nillious is going to have to go without a Magic Shield for until the next team attack. So it's going to have to be able to win without relying on Haos Nillious' specialty. He does have access to Haos Nillious itself, though, if he has need for it. So he's going to be able to make that evolution, which might be useful if he lands on that Flaming Fist, which he does. He lands on the Flaming Fist. Aurelius Pegatrix also lands, but does not get the Green Fist. So it will only be 900 B with that Helix. And Haos Nillious is on that Flaming Fist. And if he evolves, he will be able to pump that up to a large 15 damage. But right now, it's more important that he worries about being able to win this battle, because he is currently a good, he's at about 450 behind. So he has to be concerned about winning this here battle, because until he's able to win with Haos Nillious, he's not going to be able to get those Magic Shields back. And that's going to limit how good his Haos Nillious will be in the first place. And he opens with Light's Courage. He is still in Domination, so that's going to pump him up to 350 over his opponent. That'll put him in a pretty good position going forward into this round. And he just uses Blinding Glam to reduce the damage. So that'll allow him to get the win here, get off his team attack, get his Magic Shields back on the field, which will allow Haos Nillious to come down later and unleash its full power. So yeah, that's going to be, that's 15 damage total. Yeah. Is that right? Something like that. And because he had used the Blinding Glam, he was unable to activate the Stand Together that he hit. So yeah, 15 damage was right. So he was unable to use the Stand Together that he hit off of his damage, because he had used Blinding Glam to reduce the damage some. So that damage reduction hurt him in the long run instead of helping him. It's not quite the Shell Shield or or the Curse of Darkest that you would typically use to reduce damage by a significant portion. And LeMar DeVente's deck is rather low, only at 7. So a hit from either Haos Nillious or Aurelius Howlkor could finish him at this stage in the game, which puts Hunter Serge in quite the dominant position right now. So he is of course going to roll with Aurelius Howlkor, because without evolving, that's going to have enough damage to threaten game, as long as he is able to land on one of those 2 magic shields he has on the board. That'll put him in a really strong position, and his opponent is going to roll. LeMar DeVente is going to roll Aurelius Patrix. Both land. Aurelius Howlkor gets the magic shield, so it's up at 1150B. Aurelius Patrix grabs the 303 Helix again, bumping him up to 900B. So he's going to need at least 300 more B to even be able to contest Aurelius Howlkor, and Hunter Serge is still sitting there with 5 energy, ready to do things. So LeMar DeVente is just going to eat the damage, hoping to hit a flip so that he can survive. That will not do it. And there were no Outsiders flips left in his deck, so Hunter Serge takes the first round very decisively. Going into this next round, LeMar may want to try to set up his hide matrix in such a way so that it is easier for him to land his Aurelius Pegatrix on its Fist Core, so that he can get that B power up, maybe aligning it along the edge closest to him, and maybe attempting to line up his cores, his rolls better in line with those green fists to get that bonus, because throughout that game he was unable to get Pegatrix's bonus, and since that's the powerhouse of the team, that does hurt quite a bit. So the core matrix has started to be set up again. LeMar DeVente puts down his green fist as his first core. Seems to be putting his green fist in the center of his hide matrix. And now he's putting his helixes to the side, and flaming fist in front of his green fist, which might make it a bit more difficult than before to land his Pegatrixes there. But if he's able to roll straight across the column where he has those 2 green fists, it could just be fine in the end. And Hunter Serge has once again set up his magic shields closest to him, and in 2 lines. Yeah. Putting up decent distance between him and his opponent to avoid blocks from occurring, while also making them rather close to him. Hunter Serge has chosen Ventus Trox for his first roll once again, and LeMar DeVente has chosen his Aurelius Pegatrix. Both players whiff their first roll, so they will go for a reroll. And both Bakugans stand. Pegatrix gets the shield core of Hunter Serge, so that'll pump him up by 300B to 900. And Trox with that magic shield is once again at 1150B. And LeMar DeVente seems to not have any options to put down, so he's just going to eat the 1 damage from the Trox. Only 1 damage, but as always, this eases Hunter Serge towards his domination and his team attack. And turn 2, he's going to have the very good on-curve Aurelius Howlkor, which will be able to hit for potentially 9 damage. But he's actually saving the Aurelius Howlkor for later and rolling with Haos Nillious first. Haos Nillious stands on its own. Now, why might he have done that? The most likely reason is that he does not currently have Haos Nillious in his hand, so he's choosing to use the Haos Nillious earlier when he knows he has access to Light's Courage and his opponent doesn't have access to as many cards, especially since his opponent's main B power boosting faction is Haos and his opponent does not have domination like he has. So taking advantage of that situation, since he doesn't, he might not have Haos hitting Nillious to get Nillious off the board until after the first team attack, and he's had more opportunities. But his Howlkor gets knocked away. Pegatrix lands on that green fist, so he's dealing 6 damage. And even lost Aurelius Hyper Howlkor in the process. But he's going to use this opportunity with his 3 energy to drop down Colonel Armstrong Trip. Colonel Armstrong Trip is a hero which will allow him to draw an extra card every time he wins a battle. So this will allow him to keep up his hand resources while he continues to win, which can be very useful, especially if say you're fighting a deck that has a lot of flips and your attacks aren't dealing a whole lot of damage because they keep hitting flips. A card like Colonel Armstrong Trip will allow you to retain your hand resources so that you can keep winning battles and keep eating through those flips bit by bit. So Howlkor stands on its own. Serge takes the opportunity to use Cute Apocalypse to fill up his hand, and since he's got a win on this, he's going to be drawing another card off of Colonel Armstrong Trip. So his opponent hits Stand Together on the 2nd damage. So he's going to stop the remaining of that 8 damage that he would have otherwise taken. No, not 8 damage. That would have been 14 damage. So he saved himself 12 damage there with that flip. However, Serge is also in a very strong position right now. Because with that Q-Apocalypse, his hand is pretty much full. And he has his magic shields back on the field to take full advantage of them. And with those draws, he might have drawn into Haos Nillious by now. And be able to use, drop that down and take advantage of those magic shields and deal some big 15 damage off of that. And yeah, Serge has like a good 7 or so cards in his hand now, between the Q-Apocalypse and the Colonel Armstrong Trip. And with the Colonel Armstrong Trip, he's going to be able to keep refilling that hand. So he's going to have tons of resources for basically the rest of the game, as long as he's able to keep winning. Almost missed with that Haos Nillious, but Haos, it lands on that magic shield. Howlkor only lands on a green fist, unfortunately, so it's only sitting at 450B. It has a decent 6 damage, but it's 500B behind the Haos Nillious, which puts him in quite the disadvantageous position, which is really not ideal for him. So since he is currently in domination, he is going to use Light's Courage. And that will pump him up to 1250B. But Hunter Serge is going to evolve into Haos Nillious, which will allow him to grab another magic shield, pumping him up to 2300B. So that puts him in a very safe position. So he's 1100B or so above his opponent at this point. So that's going to be very difficult for his opponent to overcome, especially since even if he has more Light's Courage, he won't be able to get the plus 800B off of that anymore because they are now tied in the amount of Bakugors that they have. And with that, Howlkor loses, and that's going to be a big 8 damage. Not quite the 15 damage that Nillious can sometimes get into, but it wouldn't matter anyways because LeMar DeVente hits block outsiders on the 3rd damage, stopping the rest of that damage that would have gone through. Now, right now, Serge is lacking in magic shields on the board. He only has that 1 stray magic shield on the board to try and pick up. But with the resources he has access to in his hand, it might not really matter. Because he might just have, like, with his domination lead, he might just be able to use that to make up for not landing on the magic shields. His Howlkor picks up the green fist, which is not that ideal, but since his opponent doesn't open up, that's still going to be a good 7 damage. And no flips are hit, so the full 7 damage goes through. And so just going to take the opportunity to evolve his Trox into Titan Trox. So that'll power up Trox to 1000B, making it much easier for it to win even in these late stages of the game. Yeah. and it will allow it to deal more damage with increased 4 damage, and even has the Victor ability to increase the amount of energy that Serge can build up. Even though he probably doesn't need it at this point, but to take full advantage of the immense amount of resources he's built up in the hand, it might be nice to have. So they both open. Trox is sitting at 1150B, and Howlkor is sitting at 550B. So that puts Serge in quite the lead. He still has the domination by quite a margin. However, if its team attack goes off and doesn't kill LeMar DeVente, which it could be very poised to do, he will no longer be in domination, and LeMar DeVente will be able to use his domination cards once again. So LeMar DeVente uses Magnet Boost, boosting himself up by plus 700B, but it's not going to be enough. Serge is going to drop one of his Light's Courages. Since he's in domination, that's going to pump up by plus 800. That'll pump him up to 1950 versus the 1250 of his opponent. So his opponent still needs over 700B to get over that with only 3 energy remaining. And if he spends that 3 energy, he won't be able to use any Outsider's flips he hits. And with 3 energy left on Serge's part, and that massive hand size, that's a risky proposition. So he hits Outsiders on the first flip, stopping almost the entirety of that team attack damage. So Serge energizes 2 off of Trox's Victor ability, and now closes up his lockdown and puts his magic shield back on the board. Now that magic shield won't be in such a straight position anymore, allowing him to more accurately aim for it and get those magic shields. And with his opponent's deck rather low at this point, Howlkor or Nillious are very easily poised to be able to finish this game and take home the win at the first upper hand local Bakugan tournament. So he puts the green fist on his side of the field, but away from where he's normally aiming, so that he's able to make it more difficult for LeMar DeVente to be able to get any green fist bonuses on a Relics Tricks at any future point in the game. And he is sitting very pretty on, how much is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's like 8 or 9 energy. Basically enough to play any amount of cards he wants to. So he rolls out Howlkor, lands on the Magic Shield, getting that big 9 damage. His opponent's Howlkor also stands up, grabbing a green fist. That is not going to be very beneficial to it at this time. Sitting only at 450B, while that Howlkor is starting off at 1150B. So LeMar DeVente drops down the hot potato, but Serge is just going to use Consort to pick that magic shield right back up, and get back right up to where it was before. LeMar DeVente is going to take advantage of his domination to use Light's Courage. Serge will respond with Super Shot, and LeMar DeVente will use the last card in his hand and most of his remaining energy to drop a Consort to grab one of Serge's magic shields. So LeMar DeVente is 500 ahead, and Serge is going to drop another Consort to grab the last magic shield on the board, pumping him all the way up to about 2100, beating over that Haos Howlkor, and with LeMar DeVente's energy spent, that'll allow him to finish the game, unable to activate those 2 Outsider's flips that he hit, dealing 9 damage for the final win. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I think I did a better job with the dead air sections this time. And I did in fact record this commentary before doing all the overlay editing, so that I wouldn't have all the, which is why I stumbled a bit on like numbers, because hey, if I'm doing live commentary, I'm not going to have that overlay there to give me that information. So I gotta go off my memory of cards, which is pretty good. Which is pretty good. I tend to memorize most cards in most games I play, so I'm pretty good at that part. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to check out my Haos Nillious deck profile, I put that up a couple days ago. And today, this will be going up on Tuesday, the day of the next Upper Hand tournament. So there will be more of these matches coming. Go check out LeMar DeVente. His channel will be linked in the description and probably linked in the end cards. I'm going to be passing him the footage for this match video, just like I did with Hato. Not Hato is LeMar DeVente. With Zionic Blade, just like I did with Zionic Blader with the one we recorded at the initial meetup, and I also sent him the round 1 and 2 from this batch. So yeah, they'll probably have their own versions. Maybe the Raws, maybe they'll do their own commentary. Who knows? But go check out their channels for more of these. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope we get the Age of Auroras pre-release. Hope everyone is able to get access to it. With that said, this is Hunter Serge signing off.